Component TV is here, and it may make the set you're watching now as obsolete as an old hi-fi. Welcome.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this is a follow-up to episode 8 where I was doing the Wi-Fi cybersecurity ethical hacking video, and I was typing all the commands by hand. So I thought, well, let me make a video where I make a menu, which is very common. People make menus. They're very handy because you can just select options and you don't have to worry about typing things so much. And there are tricks you can use to have the variables that you're using already set up for you. So I'm going to show you an example, just a basic example here. I'll show you the menu first, and if you watch the last video you'll see that I had to type all the Wi-Fi commands by hand, and so as you're using it more you want to have those things automated. So this is a perfect example of that. So I'm going to do an ls here, and we're using bash, of course, and bash has been around forever. It's pretty much the default shell for Linux. It's been for a very long time, and it's very useful. There's a lot of, it's basically a programming language. There's a lot of things you can do in there. Pretty much any command that you can run in a terminal like this, you can automate using a script. So I'll give you an example of that first. Let me just show you the menu here. I'm going to do a dot and a / Wi-Fi menu. And you can see here is the menu that I made, very simple. We have this adapter name that's here, and if you watched the last video you know that I had to keep typing the LAN adapter name, and I got that using the IW config, and you can see that here. Now I did use a trick to extract this adapter name out, so when I run this menu it reads the adapter name, and it's already set up as a variable in the menu, so I don't have to specify or change that each time. So to start off with, I'm just going to do a basic bash script. I'm going to do, and I'll do more videos on this and get more basic, and you have to specify the bind bash on all of your scripts right at the top. I do a couple spaces. And for an example, I'm just going to type hello Frank. Here is your directory, just to give you a sample of kind of the things you can do with it. And then I'll just do an ls here. I'll hit Control O, and I'm going to press enter because I'm going to save it. I'll do an ls, and you'll see my test script here that I just made, but it's not executable. You can see that the test3 is this kind of a green color, and it has the X here that's executable. We need to make this executable so we can run it. So I'm going to do a change mod +X test, and let me just make this font a little bit bigger here. So what that is going to do is make it executable. So now I can just run a dot / and test, and you'll see it says hello Frank, here is your directory, and it printed out the directory for me. So just to give you an example, I'll give you one more example. We'll go ahead and nano, which is the editor, and we'll test. Open the test file. And we'll do a echo -e, and we'll just ask what my name is here. We'll say hello, what is your name? And now on this next line we're going to use a read statement, and this could be any variable name we want, but we're just going to call it name to keep it simple. We'll erase the ls here, we don't need that. So it's just asking what my name is. And I'm going to put a /n at the end, and that'll be a new line. That way after it asks me, it's going to skip a line for me. Otherwise, the cursor is going to be at the end. So we want it on the next line. So we do the /n, and now I'll just say echo hello, and I'll do a $sign and name, and what that's going to do is print out the value of this variable that we read, which is going to come from input that we type in there. So I'll do hello $name, how are you today? And then I'll hit Control O. We'll save it again, and then we'll go ahead and run it here. Let me clear the screen first. We'll go ahead and run it. So you see it's asking me what my name is. I'll say Frank, and it says, hello Frank, how are you today? So those are just some of the simple things, and I'll go through on future videos. We'll go through a bunch of different bash tricks and tips that you can use. But if you're just getting into bash, you can start off at these simple kind of things, because you have to realize you're going to need to do certain things. You might need to read a file. You know, in any programming language, you're going to have to set variables. You're going to have to read input from people. So I wanted to do that just to give you an example. So let's get back to the Wi-Fi menu. And I'll kind of explain. You can see it's got a little bit of color in here. And let me just run a command just to give you an example. These are all commands that I ran manually on my episode 8. And I'll display all the Wi-Fi networks in the area. And now if I hit Control C, I've put an option in there to ask me to press a key to continue. And I'll show you how I did that in a minute. This way it gives me time to read, or I can go in here and I can copy a MAC address, for instance. Like, say for instance, I need the MAC and the channel name. So I'll go over here to my test network I have set up, and I'll copy the MAC address. I'll hit a key to continue. I want to remember it's on channel 6. Now remember, before I had to type the whole command out. I had to put this in there. I had to put the channel. Now in this way, with the menu, I can do a number, let's say number 3, and I have it ask me, and I'm using a read command here. What is the MAC address? So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in there. I'm going to hit Shift Insert, which that didn't work, so I'm going to paste it from here. It's going to ask me the channel, and I know it's 6. You got to have the channel right, or it's not going to do anything. And you can see here how it's on my test Wi-Fi, and it's using all the entries that I had inputted. Channel 6. I'll hit a Control C, and you can see how it says press any key to continue, and it lets me press the space bar, and it goes back to the menu. So let's go to the code here. And I'll kind of explain what I did here. Now, I created a function. First, I'm using the source. Let me just start from the top. This source. Let me kind of make this window a little smaller here, and I'll open another terminal because I want to show you that file. And we'll get into colors later, but this is just a simple example of how you can have colors. I didn't have to have colors in here, but you're using escape codes to change the colors, which I think is pretty cool. But what I did was take it a step further, and I created a separate file that I can use in any of my scripts. And I basically called it menu colors. So you can see here I have, these are the escape sequences. Normally you'd have to put the escape sequences like I did here. I didn't change this yet. I put an escape sequence in there. But now what I can do, since I'm using the export command, is I'm defining this constant as this value here. So I don't have to worry about typing the escape codes. And I can, if I use this source in any of my scripts, it's like an include statement in C. It's going to let me have access to any of these commands, this dark red, cyan, orange, and I can expand on this and have more colors in here. This is just a basic example here. So I'm sourcing that. So anytime I reference these colors, you can see here I've got blink on, and I have the end color. You can see here I have light blue, and my menu is all light blue, and I have an end color. So just quickly, if you start a color, you have to end the color, and this is normally the command you would use, but I made it simpler with English, just end color. So when you do a $sign and the name of here, it's basically just replacing it with this code. So what I did here is I created a function called press a key. And normally, if you create a function, if you're repeating things over and over again, I could pass values to this function and get different results to it. I only have two options here. I have a read, which is where we get the press any key to continue. And then it displays the Wi-Fi menu. It's actually just running the script itself. It's running itself again. So I use that through the script here. You can see I clear the screen. I do the sudo airmon-ng. I start, and I use the Wi-Fi variable that I create. And then I reference the press a key function. So it's going to jump up here to this function here. It's going to stop and ask me to press a key, and then it's going to run the Wi-Fi menu. Now, I can always improve on this. I'll show you how I strip out the adapter name from the IW config. Now, normally in Linux, you would run the IW config, and then I would get the adapter name, and then when I typed my commands, I would have to reference this name. So I wanted a way for it to read the name automatically. So I have these other entries here that I really don't want. I just want to break it down to this adapter name, and I want to store that adapter name in a variable so I can reference it. So if we go back to the Wi-Fi menu code, you can see I'm doing that here. I'm running the IW config, and I'm using this pipe command. And that's what's nice about Linux. It lets you pipe one command's results into another one and into another one. So I'm using 3 different commands here from Linux. I'm using grep, which is very handy. It lets you strip out or find certain keywords or names in a file, for example. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm grepping out the WLAN. I really don't care what's after it. I know that this is what's going to be in the beginning of what I'm looking for. So it finds that, and then it uses awk, which is a string manipulation utility. And I'm basically, because I know there's a space between the adapter and more text, I'll give you an example. You see how this is in a separate column than all this stuff. So that's what the awk is doing, is it's basically just taking everything after this column and getting rid of it. And the grep is getting rid of the LO and the eth0. So what we end up with, you can see here, this is a result of that command that I just showed you in the script. It's just leaving the adapter name in a file here. So then what I do here is I create a variable called Wi-Fi, and I'm using a less than symbol, which in Linux is feeding that value that I just showed you into this variable. So now we have the adapter name in this variable. It's as simple as that. So then through my script, I can reference that variable right here. Like here's an example of it. I'm just using a $sign and putting the Wi-Fi variable name. And what it's going to do is it's going to fill in, it's going to replace this with the adapter name. Now I use that all, these air eplay and arrow dump commands need that. So I'm taking advantage of that and using it in my menu here. You can see here when I show all the Wi-Fi networks, it's going to run the arrow dump ng on that adapter, And then it's going to ask me to press a key. It's going to go up here to this function and run this function. And I'm basically using a case. I could use if statements here, but I'm using case. You can see here I'm reading the selection. So whatever I enter here, any of these letters or numbers that I enter will be stored in this variable selection. And I'm using case statements, which are very popular. You can use if statements if you want, but I think case is a little simpler. And almost every language has case, some kind of case structure that you can use. And here I'm just saying, when I'm dealing with letters, I could have caps lock on automatically, just maybe I hit it by accident. So this is going to account for that, because it'll take either a lowercase c or an uppercase c, and then we have a pipe here which means or. So this says if I hit a lowercase c or an uppercase c, clear the screen and then run the Wi-Fi menu. It's going to run itself and display the menu. Same here as the M. So when you create a case statement, you basically end it here with these two semicolons here, and you start your next bunch of commands here. So we'll scroll down. You can see number 1, test the Wi-Fi adapter. Number 2 is to show all the Wi-Fi networks in the area. You can see here I'm running the a Wi-Fi scan, and in this case I'm reading the MAC address and the channel number. So I'll give you an example of that. If I'm going to run my menu, and I'll go ahead and display all the networks in the area, and I'm interested again in my test network that I've set up, my test Wi-Fi. And so I'm going to hit Control C. You see it doesn't exit or clear the screen or anything. It's executing that press the key to continue. So I'm just going to copy the MAC address here, and I'm remembering it's on channel 6. I'm going to need that information. Press the key. It goes back to the menu. And now I'm going to run a Wi-Fi scan on a specific MAC address. And I'll go ahead and paste my MAC address in. This is the read statement that I just showed you. And of course the channel number is 6. Now remember, I used to have to, in the last video, type this whole thing out. So now it's much easier. Now I'll hit Control C. It loops to that function that we've created. It asks us to press a key, and then we get the menu again. Now we can also do other things here, like I've set up Wireshark. So I'll hit number 5 and it'll run Wireshark, where I can view all of the incoming and outgoing broadcasts for my Wi-Fi here. So you can kind of investigate the traffic that's going on in your Wi-Fi network as well. And I'll just type test. Now I'll go back in here and we'll make it a little bit bigger. So that's the gist of it there. You know, I can clear the screen. I can put the adapter in monitor mode, which it's already in monitor mode, but all of those functions there are there for me. Makes it much easier. So we'll just go back in to our menu. And like I said, if you're interested in this script, I can make it available to you, or you're welcome to pause the video and fat finger this thing in if you like. I'll just kind of run through it slowly, clearing the screen. I've got some new line characters in there. You know, you can add another function here. Let's go ahead and add, I'm going to hit Control K, which will copy that command and I'll hit Control U twice, and that'll duplicate because I don't want to delete that original one, and I'll just make a number 6. And what can I say for number 6? Maybe I'll do a PS-X, which lists all the processes that are running under Linux. That's just a Linux command. I could do anything in here. So I'll do a PS-X, and I'll say show running processes. We could do something like that. So now we have the option in our menu. We need to add an option in here for it. So we're going to go down here, and I'm going to hit Control K and just kind of delete everything. And now when I hit Control U, you can see how I duplicated it. So I'm going to do number 6. And this is a comment. Whenever you see a pound sign here, you can do comments. I use them all the time. Especially if you're looking at a script that you wrote a year or 2 or 3 or even more later, you may not, you were pretty clever on what you did and you don't remember, well, how did I do that? What is this? Well, you can do comments to let you know different things that you did, to kind of remind you in there, or kind of list what it does, etc. Things like that. It's real good. Commenting is a good practice no matter what programming language you're using. So I'm doing a PS-X. So I'll go ahead and delete these two. I'll leave the press a key because I want that. And I'll just do a PS-X. So we have our option 6 set up. I'm going to hit Control O to save it, Control X to exit. I'll go ahead and run my Wi-Fi menu. You can see here I have my option 6 here. I'll go ahead and do it. And you can see it's listed all of my running processes just using a Linux command. And it asks me if I want to press a key to continue. And when I do that, it's going to go back to my menu. Okay, so we have our menu all done. We're excited. We have a nice interface now. It makes things much easier. We've learned how to create a small but useful function here. We learned how to do some printf statements and create some options. We also learned the case structure and how to take these options and make them run different things. But it is missing something. I know you've probably seen scripts, or you've seen a Linux load up and there's this fancy, it's like ASCII art up there. So how did they get that in there? Well, we can go up to the web and we'll type text to ANSI art or ASCII art. And we'll go here. That's good enough. And you can see we got some text here, and we can call, we're going to put this in our program. That's what I'm getting at here. But we're going to, let's type something, Wi-Fi, so we can pick different styles here. There's more elaborate, you can't even read that, but there's more elaborate sites you can go to for different designs. That's kind of cool looking. So maybe we'll go with that one. We'll go with we'll call it Wi-Fi Doom. Okay, sounds like a cool program name. I'm going to copy that. We can save it as an image here, but we don't want to do that here. And I'm going to see if I can paste it in here. Just kind of deciding on a place that I want to paste it. I definitely want it to be part of my menu, so it's going to go after this clear statement. Let's try to paste it so it is in there. And I don't know what this is all about. We're going to have to delete this. I'm just hitting the delete key. We'll remove that. Remove that. And now we have to put some print statements in here. So I'm just going to use printf. I'll hit the delete key. Go all the way to the end. And we'll do a new line character. Okay, so we completed it. Here it is. I'm just using a printf statement here, and I'm setting the color to purple, going by the codes that I had defined before. And I do an end color at the end, so let's just run it and see how it looks. And that looks pretty cool. We got Wi-Fi Doom. We got our menu here. So that's basically how you do that. Kind of fancy up your script or your interface a little bit, and you can get much more elaborate than this. Just, go on Google and type text to ASCII art, and you'll find all kinds of cool stuff. I can use this script and modify it. I can use this script here and add to it, add more colors to it. Like I said, as long as you use this source command, which is very handy, it's like an include statement in C. In C you would do an include, you would do an include like an stdlib.h or something. Well, in Bash you use a source command, but the way it functions is basically the same way. So you can extend the functionality of your scripts by using this source command here. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I just wanted to get this video out to show you guys before I come out with another one. I wanted to follow up the last video, episode 8, with this one, since it does kind of tie into the whole Wi-Fi thing. Just kind of automating it, making it easier. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, like it and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.